Welcome everybody to Beyond Boundaries with Lisa Richmond. I am Lisa Richmond and this is Tarot Tuesday. We are going to do pick a card reading today. I'm changing things up and I'm doing different types of readings dependent upon what I feel the collective needs. And so sometimes it's just direct messaging using cards. Sometimes it's pick a card, sometimes it's back and forth, whatever. This week, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring you guys with me and we are going to observe the cards from above, and you're going to kind of be involved in the reading that way. And I'm going to show you all three piles, and then I want you to tune into which pile really resonates, whether it's the card that resonates, whether it's the number that resonates. But each card is pulled and channeled dependent on what the energy for that pile is. Okay, so this allows you to really dig into your intuitive knowing and go with working on that part of self, which I think is really important, to not necessarily look to others for all the answers. It's allowing, like me in this situation, to be able to help guide you in your intuitive guidance, in your path, so that you can interpret this information into your life and collect the tidbits, the little bits of gold that come through for your life and integrate it for you, rather than you feeling like I'm telling you what you should be feeling or where you should be going. It's really helping you to align with who you are so that you can build up that intuitive knowing and more or less build up that trust in your intuitive knowing, because we all have intuition. So this is a really strong message, obviously, for the collective right now, is you have that intuitiveness in yourself. We're all born with it. It's our birthright. We have to. It's like our guidance system. If we're going to be human and forget all the things when we come into this human life, we're packed with this intuitive part that allows us to wake up to it and then connect with that light in ourselves so that we can actually see what's going on. So this reading, and this is all coming through right now, is more or less guided on how to connect you with your guidance team, with your intuitiveness, and how to walk forward with that trust and confidence in who you are and what your essential higher self, your guidance team, wants you to know from you. Okay, so that's definitely the overlying theme. So let's take a look and see what the cards are today. All right. Okay, so I have taken some time, and what I have done is I've created pile 1, pile 2, and pile 3. And so essentially I just tuned into the energy of connecting to oneself and connecting to your higher self, connecting to your intuition. That is the guidance of this reading today, and what's actually bringing you here. And the 3 cards that I got was trust, divinity, and power. So first of all, that alone, when I pulled those, I was like, unreal. So then under the trust card, I went in and I had all my decks laid out, and Spirit guided me to Oracle, tarot decks, all different ones for each pile, and I pulled them in divine order, and I have no idea what the cards are. All I know is that they're underneath these, and each pile hold already the reading within it. Therefore, it holds power in each pile. So when you pick your pile, if you're guided to more than one, then there's going to be messages in each one that for you, but kind of just tune into the first and foremost that's calling you. And then so if, let's say, 2 piles call you, which one calls you directly or more intently? If you want to listen to all 3, that's fair too. So if you want to see closer, this is pile 1, which is the trust card, number 16. Pile 2 is the Divinity card, number 20. And pile 3, what? Is number 46, is the Power card. Amazing. Okay, you can look into the timestamps in the description in the write-up, or just slide it across, and then it will be divided into the sections of the time of pile 1, trust, 2, divinity, and 3, power. Okay, let's dive into your reading. Okay, so pile 1. Thank you for tuning in and listening to the card of trust, and that is very beautiful, as this card really is about trusting your gut, trusting your intuitive knowing, and that's kind of the energy behind this whole reading. So if number 16 resonates at all, or 6 plus 1 is 7, 7 is a very divine number. Either of those numbers might be validation for this reading. And then just looking into the imagery of this card, it really, to me, intuitively lights up where you might have just gone through a period of maybe some shadow work, Saturn return, dark night of the soul, that has pulled you in to the part of yourself that needed to sit with yourself and actually listen. And sometimes for us, having to slow down and actually sit with something instead of distracting ourselves, numbing ourselves, or powering through in order to okay, put your head down, just power through. You've had to stop and sit. And this is kind of the energy that I'm feeling right now, and that this is like when you sit in that part of self, when you sit in that shadow, in the shadow work, is when the light starts to shine. It's almost like there's like this little portal of light that's being illuminated or lit up, that light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak, so that we can start to see and feel that energy start to rise within us, where we've acknowledged, we've had to look square in the face the shadow that we were so damn scared to see for so long. Because if we slow down enough, then we actually have to look at it. And that's kind of what this energy is right now, and it's trusting that that part of ourselves needs to hear this. That part of ourselves needs to know exactly what it is that really that our intuition is trying to tell us. Okay, so the first card is a oracle card from the Wisdom of Oracle. So what do we have here? Time for a nap, 24. So number 24, there's a little cute little fox here, and it's in the moon. And as you all know, this moon energy has been really strong. This full moon energy that I'm sure we've all heard a lot about. And it's almost like that fiery energy of that moon has been so intense. Maybe even the aspect of sitting in the shadow and waiting for the light to illuminate, and all the work, quote unquote, that has to come up, and all the karmas that we're wrapping up, and the weeks that we've been so immersed in this energy. It's literally time for a nap, meaning it's safe to quiet our minds and actually rest. It is safe to be able to trust that what we really need is nurturing, is taking the time to rest after such a time of work and karmic wrap up and all the things, even the heart-centered energy that has been guiding us, that's feels so good, and that's really for our greatest good. But when it's time for a nap, I mean, they're saying sometimes the most uncomfortable thing we can do is rest. And for a lot of us that have the old programming saying that, the more we do, the more we achieve, the greater we are, the more valid we are to receive. Because when we receive by not doing much, are we worth it? Is it actually like, like, can we receive when we're not striving and motivating and going? And, like, this really feels like some of us are needing actual full permission to rest when our nervous system, I mean, it's been asking for it for months. So, like, the fact that this is a very first card, and when I was pulling cards for this jumped out like instantly. I didn't see it, but it jumped out, and I knew like, oh, okay, the first card for pile 1 is one that they really need to hear. So, number 24, time for a nap. This is really about integrating, allowing your nervous system to time to regulate, and maybe, like, I feel like even a time of travel, or that we've been doing so much, or that there's like kind of a completion energy, that we allow ourselves time to rest before, jumping on the horn and getting the next thing done. Okay, so whoo, breathing into this really feels like a lot. Deep knowing, another moon card. I feel like this is really like just mirroring the time for nap. This is the energy of when we come in and actually quiet all those messages, quieting all that part that is going, doing, that this is, I can't believe how much this is actually mirroring. There's like stars here. There's the lightness, there's the moon. Then we have like the fox and the owl, if either one of those animal imagery is resonating with you. And it's like deep in the skies, it's the stars in the skies and the clouds. It's a deep sense of imagery, of imagination, of less is more energy, of coming into oneself, into your own muse to create. But you have to kind of go into the sense of like rest and restore before activation. And this is what this energy is, and that deep knowing, and that's like the creation time. Okay, so being able to really rest and quiet one's mind before we start creating our next project is what this is about. And you knowing and you trusting. Look, it's trust. Deep knowing, that's a trust card. Okay, this is connecting to your heart space of trust, which is the whole theme of this reading that came up in the first place. So pile 1, I really feel like you're really leaning into this idea of knowing, idea of actually what it feels like to trust yourself again. The feeling of quieting your mind enough to hear the voice of your intuitive knowing. And sometimes quieting that mind cannot feel necessarily safe, because we've developed this part to the goer, the doer, the achiever, the list maker, the like, okay, getting shit done energy. This is like, no. This is like saying, it's time to quiet that part down so that your deepest part can start to hear those whisperings of your intuitive knowing. That deep knowing is coming from the quieting of the mind. And sometimes you have to have a little conversation with that part and say, hey, it's safe to stop being so loud with yourself, not with others. If others need to be told to be quiet, that's fine. But this is about being like, hey, self, it's safe to just quiet down and not have so much going on. It's really important, actually. Okay, let's see what's next here. Between Worlds. Okay, so I love this because the Between Worlds card is okay, so number 3, even the imagery, right, where you're starting to come from this like perspective of seeing, and then when you rest enough to let the color shine through, allow your senses to brighten, because sometimes it's the quieting of the mind that allows yourself to stop and be in the moment enough to, like, you know, the old saying of stop and smell the roses. I really feel like that's what this card is saying. It's like when we stop enough, when we are connecting to our intuitive self enough, we can start to really ignite the parts of self that need to see what it is we need to see. And in between worlds is like letting go of this like third, fourth dimension that is keeping our mind tick, 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 ticking. And we're moving into this fifth, sixth, seventh dimension, that interdimensional being, so that we can start to see the world, see our existence in something that's so much more than how much we can achieve on paper and how much we can do. That you're actually moving into this space where you can start to see clearly because you've stopped long enough to be able to see. This reading is really about saying, hey, Pile One, we need to slow the hell down so that we can see and experience and be, because we're missing out on so much of what's around us by being locked into this old existence and seeing from this into being able to wake up to see what's really in front of us by resting and by connecting with our deep trust. All right, let's move into some tarot. What does the tarot have to say? 8 of Cups, walking away. Walking away, see how she's walking away into the light, and it's that imagery of really like following that light shining on us by leaving behind some of this old imagery, leaving behind that. You know what's burning in this cup? Do you know what's burning in there? It's her to-do list. That's what's burning. She's like, sayonara, I'm out of here. And then there's those little bits that's like out and off and away. She's walking away, and she's walking into the light of like that's like her heart space. That's that warmth of that color, that deep knowing of self. This is the old paradigm. That's the old program that she was programmed in, and saying that you're not enough unless you produce. You're not enough unless you're X, Y, Z, blah, 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 blah. Okay, she's walking away from that. This is all about resting that mind. Okay, Pile One, you're being deeply called to connect to your intuitive knowing by slowing down and quieting your mind a bit. Okay, what do we have? And then we have the Knight of Swords, which is quick action, right? Now, here, I want to say something, because this isn't about it being like, okay, now once you've quieted, now it's time to pick up and get your to-do list going. This is actually like, run, don't walk away from this burning cup. It's like this Knight of Swords is saying, follow your path with your knowing. Okay? It's like once you're connected to yourself, there's no turning back. The road starts going for yourself. Your intuitiveness really starts clicking in, because I love this, because first she walks away from it and being like, and then once she's confident that she's safe in that light, then she can really go. Okay? Because your activation and your trusting your deep knowing of yourself is something that you're so divinely connected to, but it's like you haven't seen it in a while. Okay, so run, don't walk, which is kind of funny. What do we have? 2 of Pentacles. So she's, this is balance. Balance between light and dark, yin and yang, masculine, feminine, work, play. Okay, she's balancing that. She's balancing us. She's in between. Balancing the in-between worlds. After you take your nap and you're connected to that trust, it's like, how can I balance that give and take? How can I come back into that equilibrium after taking some time of rest? Because I don't want to have to go back into that old knowing, you know? Like, I don't want to have to rely on all the old paradigms of where I once was, of the to-do list. Because quite often when we go through, like, if we go on holidays, let's say, going on a hot holiday because you've just reached the end of your ability to do anymore and you've taken that time to rest, sometimes when we get back into the world of going and doing again, it's just like you go back to this side until you can't go anymore, until you need that hot holiday. Well, what if we created the existence in our life where we weren't required to have a hot holiday every time that we burnt ourselves out because we're running off, borrowed energy, because our perception of self is so validated by how much we can achieve. And so we unconsciously seek positions, jobs, placements that will suck that from us and say, like, show up more, how much more can you do? So we go, and then all of a sudden we're burnt out again. We need that holiday. We go take a nap, and then we're back in the same place 3 weeks later. Like, get off the cycle, get off that damn treadmill of that's pulling your frequency so out of alignment. Trust that that's not for you anymore. How can you create that balance or that sensation where you're not burning yourself out all the time because you're constantly on the treadmill of this unconscious perception of validation? Like, the world isn't going to continue to give you that opportunity of rest when you're seeking validation by doing. So until we can consciously bring that into awareness and say, like, look, I don't want to have to rely on taking a nap because my nervous system is so out of whack. I've been doing that for like 40 years straight. Let's do something different. Let's create a world where that's no longer a thing. Let's walk away from that. How about let's run away so we can seek that balance. Okay, what else? We have one last. And then we have the Three of Wands, and she's waiting for her wave to come in, right? She's standing there, and she's not on holidays anymore. This is her life. And she's waiting for the perfect wave because she's got the time. I'm not going to rush this. I've set everything up so that I can wait. And so that when I know the right one that comes in, I know the right circumstances, I can feel it. I'm not just rushing into something because I feel like I have to. Because standing here waiting is somehow telling me that I'm lazy for not surfing. No, it's I'm waiting for exactly the right opportunity because I'm damn well worth it. Because I can trust that I've gotten myself here. I can trust that I've gotten myself here. And now where I'm going is exactly where I need to be. And as soon as I'm feeling, agitated, as soon as I'm feeling that bits of anxiety surface again, I'm not, I'm out of alignment. Pile 1, your whole reading is about trusting who you truly are. And not working yourself to the bone because that's the only way you know how to do things. Where you're not, putting your whole existence into working yourself so hard so that you can pay for a holiday. So that you can, really, feel this, okay? Because this is a really strong message coming through is we work so hard in order to rest because we literally have to rest or else we're going to burn ourselves out if we're not already burnt out. How does that make sense? So then you go back to work so that you can work yourself so goddamn hard so that you can have enough money to rest again. I feel like that's just that's no longer, right? That's the two worlds. That's this. That's the colorless existence of unconscious patterning that is no longer in alignment with you. Right? Okay. So this, as I pull it without saying, okay, this is called the Healing Waters Oracle, and this was glowing for your reading. So the sweet waters, sensuality, romance, enjoyment, fertility, balance. Oh my gosh. You gotta see her. Look at her. I feel like that is such an acknowledgement of this reading, is that the sweet waters is a state of existence. It's not a destination that you continually try to achieve by working yourself to the bone. That's very counterintuitive. The sweet waters is life. Like, that's as simple as it sounds. Is like, that's life. This is life. Creating an existence of the sweet waters, of your connection to your own sensuality, of your connection to romance. Like, what does that mean to you? Right? Like, when we're unconsciously like sailing through life, okay? We unconsciously go through situations where we cut off our ability to receive sensuality and romance. So we'll be in this maybe like very sensual moment, or this very romantic moment, okay, where we're have an opportunity to connect to intimacy, yet we almost like experience it at like 2% of what it can be, because we're already focused on moving through it, or it finishing, or what to do next, or it just being a very unconscious thing. Like, when we're actually cutting off from one of the greatest human enjoyments of sensuality and romance and intimacy. This is a really specific message for someone or a group of people, of like, how can you connect back into your like humanness? It's our human right to be able to enjoy sensuality. What part of yourself was cut off from that, or made to feel guilty, shameful, or even like where it's like where that shame lies? This is really sensitive. Okay, this is a really sensitive message. But maybe we can do some work on our first and second chakras to open up those energy parts of ourselves, so we can start to let in that enjoyment into our life again. Maybe that's the ticket. Maybe that's the key to start to bring in this sensuality, is that like full permission to receive that. That's a really, like, that's kind of, like, I feel like it's separate but not separate, from the rest of the reading. But this is really lighting up for someone, a group of people. If this doesn't resonate, that's okay. It's specifically for a couple people. But it's time to start doing some healing around that, because your ability to receive this is part of your journey. And the ultimate receptivity of that intimacy, even with self, where you can feel like your delicate divine balance and femininity with masculinity, whether it doesn't matter how you identify, right? It's about you being able to fully accept this part of self without any guilt, shame. This is really a beautiful thing. That may be connecting into your kundalini energy. Maybe some of us are doing some sexual healing, some divine feminine healing. It's really beautiful. I send a lot of love with this. Okay, what's this last card we have? Planetary wave. Soul mission. Trust the inner call. Soul team, there's a trust. Trust the inner call. It's full circle reading here. It's bringing us back to the beginning. Okay, your soul mission. Your soul mission is in how much you can do. Your soul mission is about being human. It's about integration from your soul team, from your higher self, that higher self knowing, into that humanness, that divinity of self, and actually enjoying your life. Like, doesn't that sound so simplistic, but like profound at the same time? Is like, we're here to enjoy this life. Our human journey is about like enjoyment. It's not about how much we can achieve, how much we can make in a year, how much we can buy, right? It's about like that divinity of humanity, that connection of life source. This is a really powerful reading, group 1. Look, I hope that this really resonates. If this resonates, please in the comments maybe drop like a wave emoji. That's like that connective water, right? There's some animal imagery. You can drop the moon or the owl, the wave again, the rose. This is all about like how does this connect? What's the light at the end of the tunnel for you? What's coming? That light. What's that light igniting this part of self? Right? So that you can truly tune into yourself, your higher self, and balance the two. Balance the enjoyment of what it is to be human. We came here to be human so that we could experience the beautiful senses that go with it that we don't experience in the spirit world. And it's connecting the two so that it can ignite our full sense of self. But it's not going to be busting our ass to connect. It's time for a nap so that we can then go through the process of that connection again, right? Start to finish. Boom. Amazing. So thanks group 1 for tuning into this and really sit with this for a minute. There's a lot that came up with this. So allow yourself enough time and energy to integrate this reading. Thank you, Group 1. And I send you tons and tons of love. Hello, Group 2. You chose the Divinity card, number 20. And the energy behind this reading is all about how to connect to your divinity, right? How to connect to your higher self, how to connect to your intuitive self, your intuitive knowing, okay? So these are the cards that were chosen to go with your reading and to align with your divinity. So the message that's kind of coming through for this right now, Group 2, is very much about like trusting, like I can say trusting in your intuition because that was the whole like beginning of the reading, but this is actually like trusting your soul's path, trusting the higher self, trusting spirit, trusting your connection to the divine. And I know that sounds really obvious, but there's a difference between being like, okay, this is all about like sinking into knowing that you create your reality and all. No, I mean like the divine. Like how comfortable are you with your spirituality? How comfortable are you to tell people, yeah, I am very spiritual and I connect with the spirit realm. I bring in messages from light beings. I work in very much in my intuitive knowing. I interact with spirits. I look for signs and symbols. I communicate with loved ones on the other side. Like, how comfortable are you with saying that? I'm not saying you have to broadcast to the world, but this is about like actually like full acknowledgement that you are connected and that your divine guidance is a big part of who you are. And the more that you can accept and fully trust and like lovingly accept, like you would how you would a child, you know, saying I fully accept who you are. That's what this is about. This is about like letting your guards down a little bit and giving yourself full acceptance and love for the spiritual being that you are. Okay, Group 2, this is like, how can you practice being that confident spiritual self? And sometimes it's like, okay, when people are so far into the spirit world, it's like, okay, how can you integrate and be comfortable as your human self? This is very much about saying, maybe some of your karmic work that was in your path this life was to like work through karmas from past lives where it wasn't safe for you to work in the spirit realm, or it wasn't safe. Maybe you were deemed a witch in the witch burning days and that you've come here to kind of clear that karma. I can attest to that because I have had to clear some serious witch wounds, like serious, right? And so there's a lot of like underlying, fear that went with that. And then when I connected my connection to spirit with fear, what would show up would be fear energy in the spirit realm. And I wondered why I was constantly coming into contact with lower vibrational source. And it was because I was connecting the spirit realm with fear, because my higher self, or my karmic ties with it, was tied into lives where it wasn't safe and I was burned at the stake, or I was drowned, or something like that. I'm using these as examples because that actually happened. So anyway, for you, this is an invitation to see like where you can actually start to really allow your connection to spirit to be really divinely guided. Okay, so the first card that came through was from the Healing Waters deck, Lady of the Lake. Oh, that's such a powerful card. New beginnings, something is about to happen. So we just had a really powerful full moon, about all about that, about change, about manifesting new. Like there's a lot of messages actually coming through with this card. I feel like some of you guys have had these like really intuitive knowings that something was about to happen. Anticipatory energy that was really connected to the moon as well, of like, I know that I'm on the brink of something. I know that I'm about to endure some big change. We are in change energy. This is very, very prevalent in our energy system right now. But the more that you can connect to your divine knowing, to your guidance team, the more that you can actually trust that where you're being led to is in that divine order. And the more that you try to step away from that micromanaging spirit, like you can try really hard because it feels like that makes you feel safer when you can micromanage things. I'm not trying to be a jerk and put you down for it. I'm just saying that we develop that compensatory strategy to micromanage things so that it gives us the illusion that we have control. When in fact, trusting your divinity, your connection to source is just that, it's trust. And so if there's big change energy, we can kind of be like, okay, I'm ready for it, but this and then this, what's the timing? Like, try not to micromanage spirit, because that's not in your divinity. That is not in alignment with your divine path. So you're about to bring in something big here, group 2. But like, for you to be able to actually receive it, you're going to have to trust. You're going to have to trust that you're really divinely being guided right now. So maybe have a conversation with your guidance team saying, please allow me to open my heart to just trust this path so that I can put one foot in front of the other and trust that it is for my greatest and highest good. And that's it. Because when you really lean into it, that's when it unfolds in a way that is a lot easier versus the resistancy that can come from trying to... And you can't micromanage spirit. It doesn't work. Okay. And so then your next card here is immerse yourself. Training, learning new hobbies and passions. Immerse yourself. I feel like something that's really coming up with this pile too is that you are not only in change energy, but you're in an energy of almost like coming back to yourself. And that might include like doing something that's very creative. So like immersing yourself in a creative project, a new creative project that might be a little bit different than something that you're used to doing. And it's not that it's because it's something brand new. It's something that this might be specific for a group of people, but it's almost like you are starting to give yourself permission to do some of the creative projects that in the past were deemed unnecessary, or it didn't make enough money, or it's like, well, what's the point of doing that? What's the end game? What's the end goal with that? People who paint don't make money. Like, ugh, whose voice is that? Blech. Like, that's gross, right? This is immerse yourself in the creative vibrations of your authentic, of your divine being. And the more that you can immerse yourself in these creative projects, it says new hobbies, but really, I feel what this is actually existing energies that have been waiting until you're ready to let it shine. When you're ready to let go of some of those old voices that are not in alignment with you, that have actually held you back from your creative power. This is very creative power. And when you're in your creative power, you're in your authentic power, you're in your divine light. This is very divinely guided. This is about creation. So I feel like a lot of you are given a creative opportunity. There's a new opportunity coming forward that is going to put you a little bit out of your comfort zone because it's something different, but it feels really good because it feels like it'd be fun. You know, like that's a fun new project. It might be a new work opportunity, it might be a new creative project that you've been invited to be a part of by maybe people that you don't know that well, but it really seems fun, but it requires you to step outside the box a bit. Okay, so I would really encourage you to be like, okay, divine guidance team, guide me in this and allow me to see my next step, because right now I'm full sending my trust to you because I know I want to do this, but I'm scared as hell because this is outside of my comfort zone. When really it's not outside of your true comfort zone, it's outside of the box that you were trained to be in so well. And that box is dissipating, right? Okay. Moving into some of the tarot, I'm going to be using the Good Tarot deck, which is different from the traditional. And then we have the Justice card, number 11, Balance. Okay, this is justification for yourself. This is justice coming in. Traditionally, Justice card could really be about, well, yes, balance, but also like actual justice, like gaining justice on something that has, like when there has been an injustice. And I really feel like one of the injustices that have been in your life is the stifling of this creative energy that is you, that is meant to be you, that is you, right? Justice for yourself. Oof. 11 is a really powerful energy one. So if 11s show up for you a lot, this is a validation for that. This is a validation that the divine aspect of yourself, your higher self that is coming in to work with you, is bringing you justice, saying, I'm here for you now. I'm here to bring that injustice of the divine part of who you are that hasn't spoken enough, that hasn't been able to take the lead, is now going to help you take the lead. I'm going to step forward. I'm going to help you take the lead of yourself in this new endeavor, in this new creative project, in this new world of trusting your divine guidance team versus going back into the 3D aspect of things and trying to justify it from a 3D like human perspective. I really feel like there was some kind of voice that had become your voice on telling you what you should be doing. Because it was almost like, okay, it feels like the energy of when, let's say you're a kid and you were like, the world was color, right? The world was color for you, and you had these beautiful guides that would come, and whether you were like interacting with them on a regular basis where you could talk to these beautiful guides, where you were in your imagination, and then the door was shut and you had to live in a colorless world because you were told that that's the world you live in and that's reality. But deep down you knew that the world had color. And this is your divine awakening. This is your awakening to bring that color back into this. Is your guidance system saying, we're bringing you justice. It's a really powerful energy. What do we have next here? We got 9 at Earth, which is 9 of Pentacles. And that's like, it's like all the hard work that you've done is paying off in a way that feels justified. Okay, this is a validation that what I wanted to say was that all the hard work is going to be paying off, but really what they're saying is that underneath the illusion of the world is not color, you have to work your ass off to get rewarded financially. This is a validation that when connecting, look at how she's this inner light, right, is shining in her. And then behind is that same vision, that same imagery of the justice. This is trusting. This is trusting that your divine guidance team is bringing you everything you need. This is the validation. This is sitting, cusping your hands and saying, thank you, divine. Thank you, divine guidance team, for allowing me to see that I'm ultimately always taken care of when I'm lit up and connected to my true authentic self, which is that creative, beautiful self that sees the world in all the brilliance of color that there is. This is you reconnecting to that source energy. It's really like breaking free of the constraints of that third dimensional perspective of that shadow masculine. This is really you waking up and saying, I'm ultimately always taken care of. Because there is a belief, there's a really inauthentic energy that's underlying that if you're in your creative power and you like lean into that colorful world, that there's no cheese down that road, right? There's no money to be made. And that's just such a limiting belief. But holy smokes, were we ever, that like the wool was pulled over our eyes for so long to make us believe that. And it's like, no, not anymore. There's justice for your inner self. There's justice for your like divine knowing, so that you know this is spirit saying you're going to be taken care of. And you need to I want to say like reprogram, but program is such a dense word. It's like undo the programming of the belief system that you won't be. Okay? I just want to like hug that beautiful, divine, creative self that turned off that part of self. Like I just want to give them a big hug. Okay, 6 of water, look at that. That's like 6 of cups. That's the, like it can be read as like a nostalgic card, but this is really inner child work. This is doing the work to the inner child of like going back to the place in the past that made you have those beliefs and like give her love. This is feeling into that part. And reparenting that part of self, giving that part of self justice with love. The 6 of water is all about love for self, love for inner child, love for that younger version of self. Pile 2, you've got some inner child stuff that's coming forward about love and about that divine, beautiful, beautiful essence of self. As this younger child that was probably stifled and that was probably programmed to believe that, that part of self is silly. That part of self, that beautiful, creative part of self, snap out of it. No, this is so peaceful. Your divine energy is so peaceful. And connecting with her or him or with that younger version of self. This is really about inner child work and just that really big, deep love. Not going and doing like work. It's just about love. Love. Almost like doing those creative projects from the 6-year-old part of self or the 10-year-old part of self that got stifled. So like, what if you went into that creative project as a 6-year-old? What would that 6-year-old self do? So you're not trying to like create a masterpiece of art from like a 40-year-old self or whatever. It's like from the 6-year-old self. So that might look like just exploring colors, or maybe music that is like ding 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 ding, just all the sounds on the piano or whatever it might be. Like, not perfection, but exploration. How would that feel? What if you gave that part of self full permission to just explore what their creative self wanted to explore. Maybe it's going on a scavenger hunt and finding these beautiful pieces of nature that you can just explore. Crunchy leaves, heart-shaped rocks. Gosh, I don't know, like feathers. These, like what would that 6-year-old creative self want to explore? There's some deep learning about that part of self. And it's not fixing, it's exploring. Right? Immerse yourself. Woo! There's some energy. 4 of air, that's another rest card. Pile 1 got the same card, different deck. And it's about resting. Look at her. No, you're not looking at her because you're nowhere near. Okay, there we go. Look at her. She's holding herself. She's got those wings. And she's in this essence of self where she's like, I'm not doing anymore. I'm just resting. I'm just holding myself and I'm resting because that's what I need. What would that look like? This is a deep rest energy. Look at the imageries of this. Look at this imagery. It's all about this part of self. It's all like individualized self. And then we have new beginnings. And that is literally what it says on Lady of the Lake, new beginnings. Something's about to happen. Your new beginnings cycle number 1. Look, light at the end of the tunnel. Like just awakening. Because look at this baby. Look at this baby. This new beginnings. For some of you, it might actually be like an actual fertility. Like this might actually signify the beginning of new life, like the creation of a baby. Like you might be experiencing this with your actual fertility, right? Like if you're looking to get pregnant or you're looking to bring a baby in. But for others that are not, looking for that right now in their life, it's about the creation or the birthing of the new beginning of something that you're looking to create, that light at the end of your tunnel, right? This new cycle of new beginnings is such a representation of you connecting to this part of yourself, connecting to this really creative spark that is new. And like some of the imagery here that shows up is these beautiful like lavender fields and this purple and this path. I talk about what like lights up so much is this path that's right in front of you. Kind of like from Spirit I always get the just follow the yellow brick road. And there's actually like this amazing path that's like following through this light of tunnel, right? That's this new aspect, this new birthing part, this new beginning of self that is being guided down this authentic path, right? Like that is something that's like undeniable for yourself. And that is really the light at the end of your tunnel, to be able to be led somewhere down this path that is connected to your truest form. What are you creating now? What is it that you're wanting to birth? What is it that you're wanting to create? Because now you have that justice for yourself. You have this validation that what you want to create is actually, this colorful world that exists. And then the last card that I have here is the bee. And the bee is all about luck, sweetness, It actually says luck on it. Yeah, sweet victory. And I'll tell you right now, though, like connecting into your creative muse, that's not luck. That's authenticity. That's your divinity. That's your divine self coming through. You are a much more sensitive, divine, like spiritually connected, creative person that actually needed that validation so much growing up. Needed that validation so much. And it's like you get to be the one to actually wake up to see it and feel the sweetness of it. You know, like that sweetness to that new beginning, to that waking up, to that creative part of self, that sweetness. That's what it's supposed to feel like. And I hate using the word supposed to, but like truthfully, that's what it's supposed to feel like. It's supposed to feel good. It's supposed to feel sweet in your existence of this human form, right? You have the right to be in your like authentic creative power. You have like that's your birthright. That's who you are. It's time to step into your divine power. This is like but this like energy around it is so soft and beautiful. Right? Like it doesn't feel like struggle. It feels like exhale. It feels like sweet. Right? It feels like honey. It feels like this a little like how this baby would smell. Right? Like, oh, I don't know. It just feels like there's not a lot of resistance for you, and it's just about you being able to like have that justice for yourself. Okay? Pile two, if this resonates for you, then you claim this. You claim this reading. Drop in maybe a baby emoji or a little bee, or maybe drop in the like weight. There's that like weighted justice emoji. Maybe drop that in. A water, there's lots of that beautiful water energy, peacock, the star. You know, drop in what resonates for you from this and claim this reading as yours, group two, to connect with that beautiful divine center of self and that divine knowing of who you are and having justice for who you are and that beautiful, kind, gentle, creative, loving version of self that is so ready to be seen and validated, right? Thank you so much, group two. And it's been a pleasure being in your energy. It's actually felt really good for my heart. So I hope that this resonates, and we'll see you all next week. Bye. Hello, group three. Okay, so if you were guided towards this card, this power card, number 46, then this reading is for you, obviously. So I'm just kind of like pulling through the energy of this card. So essentially what this energy is coming through as is like your new, I want to say like your new defined power, where your perception of what power was, or like what you used to associate with the concept of power, is now redefined into the actual power of what is the power of self, the power of your intuitive knowing, the power that you receive when you take full control of your life, when you stop having other people hold the reins and stop inserting their expectations onto you, or their perceptions of how things should be done, or like the learning process of what you had developed in your life on how to your perceived power or how to gain power. But it's about the like actual energy of what you perceived power to be. And this is a redefined power, because that old paradigm of power was that very much shadow exertion of power over people, or like exerting power onto things so that it created an illusion of control. Right? That's old stuff that very much still exists, obviously, within the world of the third, fourth dimension, the politics, the fighting, the shadow masculine. They're all kind of piling onto each other with their perception of power. But this is about the redefining of power for you, about what that redefined power looks like in your life and how it takes shape. And by actually tuning into the real aspect of your personal power is what lights up your path. That's what allows you to step in to your your shoes, you know, instead of wearing the shoes that were given to you because that power source told you you had to, right? It never quite felt right. So the energy behind this is about what life looks like when you step into your authentic power and redefining what that power means. Okay, let's see what's in the cards here. Okay, so the first card we have is 8, an event, card of a creative endeavor. So 8, the number 8 lots of times will signify like abundance, financial abundance, yeah, kind of the having energy. And this is beautiful because look, this is really talking about, this is kind of pile 2 energy too. I talked about this in pile 2, but this is about like creating your reality based on like all the things that are real to you, the real aspect of power. So what if somebody told you once that doing your art, playing your music, creating the sound, being in a place of like bliss wasn't reality? None of this actually exists. To be powerful is to get into the mentality of the concrete box. But the creative endeavor is actually opening up your awakening to your true power through your creative actions. Being able to create your reality and in tune with your personal power based on your authentic knowing of what bliss, of what life really is. What if reality was to you going to the beach anytime you wanted to, listening to the music that lights you up and connects to your authentic power? You're charging in the beautiful sun, listening to the waves and doing your art. What if that is your power? What if that is what brings you to your intuitive knowing? Right? Who is anybody to tell you that that's not the way to do it? What if this like creative endeavor is actually your ticket to freedom? And like, what are they giving me? This is interesting. There's like, this elicits your power. You know, like where it's like, how do I find my power again? How do I get into my power source? What if it's putting down all the old rule books of how to gain power and momentum, and it's connecting to your creative aspect of self, and that's truly what elicits that power source within yourself. Doing the things, maybe it's not music or art, but maybe it's like a creative endeavor that makes you think outside the box, that creates that freedom, that elicits that power within. So this is really an invitation for you to maybe seek outside of the rule book that was somewhat given to you on what power was. And maybe you're coming out of maybe a relationship or a situation that you were in for a long time where you thought that's the way it should be. The way it quote unquote should be is just Groundhog's Day, getting up, doing the same damn thing every day until all of a sudden you hit an end where you're like, there is so much more to my life than this. I need to get my power back. How can I regain my power? How can I go get my power source back? And coming to like point zero, starting from scratch, a great place to start is with your creative self, because that's your authentic self. We are creative beings. That's what humans are. We're creative. Like, we're creation. We hold within ourselves the ability to create. Right? And we forget that because we're so trained to do. But actually our power source comes from our creative source. Our first, second chakras, those are like the stability and creation that's within us. That's what our power source is. What else do we have here? Great gratitude. I love this. The color yellow really is about the third chakra. And that is connected to the sun and the power source of who we are. So there's a really beautiful, bright yellow energy around this. And it's the number 4, and it's a consciousness. It's a consciousness card about being conscious about how you want to create your life. And how to get back into your power? Maybe that's breaking down all the critic the critical part. It's like, how do I gain power? Well, we can't be weak. We can't. No, like all that old voice, that's not yours. It's the consciousness bringing into your state of consciousness gratitude. Now, I know there's kind of an overflowing energy of like, when you're feeling down, go into gratefulness, go into gratitude. Well, sometimes it's really damn hard to go into gratitude when you have had power exerted over you for so long, and the critic is the loudest voice of all. And then to go into gratitude when you feel really low, that can be really tough. But this gratitude is like, what if we started with, I'm so grateful that I can take a deep breath and I can feel the breath rise and fall in my chest, and that allows me to know that I'm alive. And if I'm alive, ultimately I have the power of my own life. Right? Like there's something really strong about gaining the perception of your own personal power and taking it back. Taking back our power, right? But in a gentle way. These two cards are very gentle cards. Power doesn't have to be something that isn't gentle. There is enormous power in gentleness, creative, gratitude, nature, right? Maybe listening to the birds. There's a bunch of birds in this card. Maybe there's birds coming into your life right now and you're starting to connect into the energy of the animals that are interacting with you. Maybe birds are a big thing. Maybe you just say, hey, I'm so grateful that I have the connection to what these birds are bringing, or the sound of the birds singing. That brought me some joy today. Or the color of my world around me. I'm so grateful that regaining your power to be able to see what's right in front of you, to be conscious of your life. Okay, this is really not about exertion of that like masculine type energy of exerting power and like domineering energy. This is really about regaining power in an authentic way. Okay, there's power behind being your creative self. There's more power behind awakening to your creative self than it is about getting your stuff done. This is really a big message. All three piles have all been about that. About redefining what your perception looks like with getting things done or achievement or any of that. This power source is a gentle connectivity of your true self. Okay, there's a couple tarot cards here. Seven of Pentacles. Okay, again, this is a very like earth-based energy. He's like putting his energy into these plants, into this, and he's like, you can see it coming out of his hand. Like he's sharing his energy into this plant, which is being absorbed down into the roots and creating this life that he can't see from up there. But he knows that the power that is generated from him into this life source is the power that's creating life. Okay, there's a powerful energy in putting that slow interaction of life, that slow interaction of that powerful energy that goes in, that powerful energy of exchange between us and our surroundings. These cards all very much indicate our connection with nature. So maybe for you to elicit your power is your connection to nature. Maybe it's time for you to get outside and connect to some plants or to your natural surroundings. Get out of the four walls that surround you and into nature. Being able to like receive some of your like power source from earth. Maybe we say, hey, I need a little help right now. And I'm asking Mother Gaia to come in and help guide me with her beautiful energy source in order to help me regain my footing again, so that I can feel in control and in power of my own existence, so that I can trust who I am by the guidance of beautiful Mother Earth. There's so much earth interaction and energy here. Two of Swords, making a choice, not knowing necessarily what the right answer is. You know, she can't see right now all the things. And hey, there's something about, okay, well, this might be just for somebody. I feel almost like intense pangs of fear when we don't know what's going to happen. And that our power feels like we're stifled when we can't see everything and we know everything that's coming our way. Maybe we feel like the only way that we can be in control of something is if we have like full sight of what's going on. But in reality, we don't know all the time. We don't know what's happening all the time. And so this is also about trusting, and it might not be necessarily like the traditional reading of this card, but how it's coming through with this is that sometimes the power lies within your need to just trust that you'll be guided in what to do, and that it's not right in front of you. It's not something that you can necessarily see and know all the answers to. And the power lies within your ability to make your choice based on your intuitive gut. The power is your intuition here. It's not within seeing all the things first and being like, okay, now let's make a list of pros and cons. And like, not saying that isn't helpful. That can be helpful. But sometimes it's like you can't see it all. You don't have all the information. And if you're having to make a decision without knowing all the information, you're going to have to trust your gut. And what if that actually elicits your own sense of power? What if that elicits your actual connection to your intuition? Your power source has to be based on not knowing. And not seeing everything right in front of you, and you actually having to make a decision. Like, it could be like a crossroads, yeah. But it's not about option A or option B, actually, because they both lead you where you need to go. It's about you knowing and trusting that you have all the answers. And that you might have to learn something along the way. And you might have to be creative with your choices. Or you might have to say, I have absolutely no idea how I'm going to get there, but I'm going with my gut on this one. I'm just going to trust. There's power in that. And not giving your power away by asking other people to make those choices for you. Because there's something about that too, you guys. There's something about being like, if I don't actually make the choice, and I have somebody else make it for me, then if it leads me down the wrong path, then I don't fully have to take responsibility for it. But what would happen if you made the choice, you went down the quote-unquote wrong path, even though there's no such thing, and you had to turn around and come back? It's not about failure. It's about that you had to go down that path to see stuff first. There's a bunch of information down that path that you needed in order for you to go down the other path. You had to collect information. There's no such thing as a wrong path. So for you to not see all of the signs and symbolisms first, and you have to go off of like pure gut, and then it doesn't go the way you thought, and then you're like, well, my gut was wrong. No, it wasn't. It led you exactly where you needed to go for you to receive the information you needed to receive in order for you to continue on. But you're only going to know that retrospectively. You're only going to know that when you say, I trust wholeheartedly that I was guided in exactly the way I needed to go down to experience exactly what I needed to experience in order for me um, to keep going. That's personal power. Okay, what else do we have here? Hierophant. So I love this because the Hierophant is all about almost like your own inner guru. I hate the word guru, I really do. But it's like because of exactly this, about giving our power away to somebody else that we perceive knowing more than we do. And they don't. And generally, if somebody's a self-proclaimed guru, then that's ego. You're going to have to ask a lot of questions. Trust me. But if you have a spiritual leader, okay, or if there is an intuitive guidance system that you're really drawn to that you can learn from, then ultimately that path that we were just talking about that you might not necessarily see shows up because it is illuminated by your personal power. Look at, he's so happy. He's so happy. She, they, so happy. Because they're connected to themselves. They're connected to their inner knowing. Their intuition is guiding them. They have the answers. Source, that connection to source, it's like this awakening to yourself. It's awakening to your own personal power. The Hierophant card is so amazing to get after the Two of Swords because I was just saying sometimes you don't know which path you have to go down. Like you have to trust that it's your own power that's guiding you. And with the Hierophant coming up, it's like you being your own guidance team. And that trusting. It's like this is like the awakening after. It's what comes after the trusting of going down the path that you just don't know. That's where power is truly generated from. You. Okay, the next card that I have is I wanted to pull it from a deck that I don't usually use, and it was calling me from a long ways away. And this is the actual back of the card, and it's called Sacred Rebels. And I love it, and I think it's so cool. And it was just like this rebel kind of energy was really calling me in this deck. So inner trust. Let's just take a sec. Inner trust. Look at this. Feel what she's saying to you. This is you. I don't care if you're a guy, girl, woman, man, they, that, it doesn't matter. This is an aspect of yourself looking you square in the eyes and asking you to trust yourself. Holy smokes, this is so much power, you guys. It's literally like you're not going anywhere else without that inner knowing. That's why this card was so powerful and it was calling me so much. That's what your power is. I feel like I have no words. Another 2. Balance. Oh, there's just so much energy in her. Like she's just like looking at you and being like, you're not going anywhere, and you know it. You're not going anywhere without me. I'm the true source of power. I'm your true source of power. I am every part of yourself that you either wanted to hear or didn't want to hear. That you ignored or that you celebrated. That you were proud of or that you were shameful of. I am all aspects of who you are. And so you've gotten to a place where now there's nothing left to do but trust. Trust me. Trust you. That's your power. Guys, this is like, it's making me like really emotional, but in such a way of like, self-realization and understanding that, like, she's saying, like, all that stuff doesn't matter. All the media BS that pulls you out of your energy, all the fear, all that not knowing, all the compensatory strategies, all the old belief systems, all the artificial sense of power, everything. She's like, I know it all. I'm that part of you that knows the truth. And so you have nowhere to go but right here. Woo! I connect with that part of self. I'm going to. That's incredible. Okay, so we're going into the Starseed Oracle now, and you've got the love. I love that. You got the love. Codependency boundaries. Okay, so this is about not going outside of yourself. You've got the love. Look at all these different faces, or all the, like, looking the different ways. Look at how this is, right? You've got, there's nowhere to go. She told you that. There's nowhere to go now. There's no codependencies left. There's no looking around and seeing who's going to tell me the answer. I need to know. No, you know. It's you. You've been what you've been looking for this whole time. You've got the love. You've got the answers. Oh, this comes with so much energy. I think you do need to go onto a beach and go play listen to some really good cello music and paint. You know what's funny is, what, this is totally jumping, sorry, furry squirrel. When I paint, I channel energy through paint, and it gets ignited by the sound of the cello. When I hear cello music, I put on cello music, and then all of a sudden it, like, elicits this part of myself, and then I channel either writing or painting. So this is really neat because it's a representation of, like, what lights you up, what ignites that part that gets it going. So when she's saying, like, you can't go outside of yourself, you've got the answers, right? You're your own guru, whatever. So how do you express it then? How do you let that energy flow? You know, it's going back to that creative part of self. It's going back to that creative mind to allow that energy to be channeled through you. Group 3, I really feel like there's, like, a big aha moment right now, and it might be tough to see. You know, it might be that part of self that is like, oh shit, I was waiting a really long time to have this part of myself woken up, and it's scary as hell. But she said, like, there's nowhere else to go but right here. I'm looking at you square in the eyes. You can't pretend I'm not here, because I'm right here. I'm all parts of you. You can look around. You can search for something else. You can seek validation. You can seek that outside power that might feel more comfortable because you know it better. But ultimately, she's like, I'm right here. Woo! Cracked open. And then we have cracked open. Okay, so this is surrender to life, right? This is the surrendering to it. You're cracked right open. This is a very vulnerable reading. Okay, look at the opening, the idea of that opening, and same with this, right? You got this big round kind of orbed energy with this cracking open of your true authentic self. And I know that's not necessarily the original symbolism of this, but it very much signifies a similar thing. Same with this, getting to the top and getting to source and cracking open to who you truly are. That's what this is about, you guys. This is about awakening your own power, cracking yourself wide open so that the illusion of that armor that you might have been wearing, or that perception of self that you wear for safety, is cracked. There's a crack in the armor, right? Because the armor was put together from a place of, like, old power. Your power is the acknowledgement of this. So group 3, that's your reading today. I hope that you know, after this one, you might want to shake it off a little bit, stand up, stomp your feet, shake your hands a little bit, just to shake off any of this, because this hit hard. This hit right into my solar plexus energy. That's the yellow of it. That's what this feels like, right? But If you want to claim this, if you want to claim this powerful, powerful reading, claim this powerful reading, that's funny, and regain your own sense of power and that authentic version of self, right? If you want that in your life, then claim this reading as yours. Maybe put in the, what are we going to do? Put in the comments. You can just say, I claim my power. I claim my personal power. You can put an egg, maybe that's been cracked open. Okay, you could put on a mask. I don't know if there's an emoji mask. Put in some paint or musical notes. You can put, oh gosh, whatever really resonates. Plants, trees. What resonates with you is like the self, is your own personal power. So to claim this, like claim this as yours. And I'm really excited to see some feedback on this, because this is a pretty powerful one, and I feel very grateful that I got to bring this through, because I think we've all either are currently immersed in pile 3 energy of power, or we've gone through it not very long ago. So I would be very curious if this didn't actually resonate in some way, shape, or form with anybody who was connected to the power card. I'm pretty sure that we can identify with this. It's just really powerful. It just is. Don't be afraid to take the blindfold off and see who you really are that's looking at you in the mirror, looking back at you. Don't be afraid to connect to your own power of what you're doing. Right? You don't have to look outside of yourself. Beautiful. All right. All right, group 3, that's your reading, and I hope to see you back next week for another Tarot Tuesday reading. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'm sending each and every one of you a whole bunch of love. All right, talk to you next week.